What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope y'all been having a great day as we start to close out our work week here. It was an interesting day of model runs as we try to iron out next week's potential for two storms that could affect the east coast of the U.S. It did not start off too good, but the latest GFS really kind of stopped what we thought maybe was a north trend. So it still leaves areas, the southern areas like North Carolina, really is what I'm speaking about. You never know, South Carolina could get into the game here. Still a decent chance for winter weather next week as we try to iron out this storm, especially the second storm. But the first storm is going to be a tone setter for that second storm, I think. I don't think that's being talked about enough. So we're going to talk about what it's showing, talk about the big GFS run that just ran that really just shows a big-time winter storm for areas of the Mid-Atlantic, even North Carolina, Virginia, Washington, D.C. Y'all might really break y'all's snow drought finally with this potential setup coming in. So a lot to talk about here, so we're going to get going. If you guys have not subscribed and you're a new viewer, consider subscribing. I talk weather here on the east coast of the U.S., I talk a lot about the southeast, but I also talk major storms just across the entire east coast in general. So thank y'all for tuning in. I'm also active on Twitter and Facebook. And like I said, just thanks to the support. Definitely hit that subscribe button, share, turn on notifications. And thank y'all for tuning in. So we're going to start off by the National Weather Service. This is the winter weather outlook here. 4 to 7 days out. So this is at day 5. So it's already highlighting. If it's hard to see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. But Philadelphia, New York, Washington, D.C. is in the 10 to 30% chance of winter weather exceeding a quarter inch of liquid. So that's a quarter inch liquid equivalent to snow or ice, whatever it may be. In this case, it would probably be snow. But there's a signal here for winter weather. We've been talking about it for what seems like weeks, but it's really just been days. This is picking up on that first storm that's going to really potentially affect our second storm as far as providing a cold air supply. But New York City, Boston, y'all look to be on the northern fringe of this, but we go to the next day, there's not much, but this is talking about the second storm. So this is Thursday, January 28th. So next week, and obviously not today, but next week, a week from the day, and it's starting to light this area. Very low, but expect this area to increase. Washington, D.C. is in the middle of both of these storms. I'm not saying in the middle, y'all are in the middle as in y'all are going to miss both, but I really like you guys to see some kind of significant snowfall, whatever y'all consider significant. I'm sure that's probably 4 to 5 inches or higher, but, Delaware, southern New Jersey, areas that don't get hit a lot, this is y'all's big-time potential here, potentially. So we're going to start off by the GFS. Which has showed a very aggressive scenario. And I'm also going to show you the run prior and let you know that there's still going to be wild model swings. We're still a week out. And let me just tell you guys that we're still going to have swings. I tell you what, I thought we were losing the storm today. But it really showed me that the 12Z GFS is just one operational run. And this is what I'm showing you, the operational runs right now. I'm going to show you the ensembles too, because ensembles help us to keep our reality in check a little bit. So this is the first storm. This storm might actually cause some flooding down here. This is an area of precipitation that just keeps hitting the same area. But here comes another storm. Another thing I have not talked about. This is the first storm. There's going to be a severe weather threat for Alabama, Mississippi, potentially into Georgia. We're going to watch that. I don't think it really goes any much more further than east than that into the Carolinas. But there's going to be some kind of severe weather threat in this area. So definitely watch out. I might talk a little bit more about that as we get closer, but this is the first storm. Notice Washington, D.C., Virginia, most of Delaware, northern areas, central areas of Virginia and south. This is all rain. The first storm is all rain. Now, Washington, D.C., y'all might be north enough to really mix here. This is going to be a close one for you guys. New York City, y'all are going to be cold enough for snow. But can you get the northern end of this precipitation to get to y'all? This is still ironed out. If we go back to the run prior to this, and hopefully it can come in, I was looks like a little bit more north. So they're still trying to figure out where the axis of snowfall is going to be. But I think this is going to be a really robust system out here. But I think as it gets closer, it's going to kind of not necessarily fall apart, but I guess kind of in a way do that because the low pressure is going to center into the Atlantic Ocean, and it's just not going to. You're not going to get a an intensifying low pressure riding just off the coast of the Northeast here. It's not going to be a nor'easter type setup with this storm. But as we get all that out of the way, see the rain starting to turn to snow in Washington, D.C., areas of West Virginia, southern Pennsylvania. That gets out of here. But as that's getting out of here, another storm's cranking up. Here it is. This is a big-time storm coming up. Low pressure gets here. You get a weird buckle in the jet stream. But what happens here is you get cold air damming and forcing some cold air down here. Now, what's interesting is you thought it was just going to be just a flat-out Miller B cold air damming kind of storm. But it really looks like it's going to be a hybrid of both. Because what happens here, as it gets going, here's that cold air damming setting up right here. You're getting snow breaking out in a good portion of Virginia. But watch this low pressure. Shifts to the coast quickly. And yes, there is still a cold air damming influence here, but it's starting to shift into more of a Miller A, which is a coastal low, which coastal lows, guys, can really deliver good thumpings of snow for the coastal plains of North Carolina and Virginia. So Raleigh, watch out for this storm. This has potential written all over you. You guys do good in these Miller A storms. But all of Virginia, Washington, D.C., sure, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to make it up to you guys or y'all going to get anything significant. But it doesn't take anything for this to shift just north for you guys. But look at this storm. This is heavy snow in the Triad of North Carolina, central areas of North Carolina. South Carolina, we need work. We need a lot of work here. We need this northern stream of energy to keep shifting down and digging further down for us to get more cold air involved. And check out the high pressure up here. It's just really far away. It's strong, but it's far away. But when we shift here, this is some really, really heavy snow right here. That really, it's just it's the backside of the storm. But look at you see where these returns are yellows and reds. Well, you transition that to blues, and then you get very, very heavy snow. And this snow could fall all the way to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's going to be interesting to watch here. A little bit closer up view, showing it. That is heavy, heavy snow in southeastern Virginia showing up. Very, very heavy snow. So if whoever's viewing this, if you're in Virginia, if you're in central North Carolina, even the Triad of North Carolina, this is going to be interesting. Now, let me tell you something. A lot of times when these low pressures transition to the coast, sometimes there's a dry slot that ends up being right around where Charlotte is. So we'll watch that. And I don't know if Charlotte's I don't know if y'all going to be cold enough for anything significant anyways, but this is a really changing situation. So this is going to be interesting to watch. It gets on out of here. We look at this. This is temperatures during the entire event. Notice good old Columbia in a cold, miserable rain in the 30s. I know, guys. I'm trying to get. If anybody's watching this who watched it the first time, that's where I'm located. I'm located in Columbia, South Carolina. So, guys, it's like torture to me sometimes talking about snow for all you other guys just north of me when I'm sitting here in the cold rain. But it is what it is. This is where I live. So, you notice as the storm's cranking up, there's not a ton of cold air. It's kind of bringing its own cold air, right? You get heavier precipitation, pulls down the cold air. You get heavy wet snow right here in the low 30s. So you don't have a ton of cold air, but this is puking heavy paste-like snow right in this area. So the temperatures, yeah, they're marginal, but they're workable. That's for sure. But check it out. This is where the high pressure is. Low pressure. High pressure, it's pretty strong, but it's way up here in Canada. Ideally, you want it somewhere in this area. And then you can have everybody in play in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. But then again, you have that high pressure a little bit more further south, and it's going to suppress the storm south. So it'll take people out like Washington, D.C., things like that out the picture if you push this. The further you bring that high pressure down, the more it pushes this system down. So that's good for areas in South Carolina and more widespread from North Carolina, but not areas north. But here it is, and this is the snowfall accumulation, and this is probably what everybody's looking at. This is the first storm. Lays a decent, nice snowstorm for areas of Pennsylvania, far eastern areas of West Virginia, even Washington, D.C., giving y'all several inches of snow. Southern areas of New Jersey, Delaware, a few inches of snow. It's nothing crazy, but it's snow. But check it out. It's already picking up something right here in South Carolina. But as it's going here, look at this. Now, a lot of this is ice, and especially in the southern fringe of this right here. But this is awfully close to a huge storm for Raleigh. And in fact, it looks like it is based off this. But look at this, foot and a half of snow for areas in Virginia. This is very significant. So this is going to be very interesting to see what plays out. This is definitely overdone, but you never know. Never know. So this is something we need to watch. The GFS has gone crazy. Sometimes we call the 18Z happy hour for some of the crazy stuff it likes to do. But this is the European. I'm sorry, guys. I lost my internet briefly for a second. It does that every once in a while. But here we go. This is the European model. We were talking about the GFS. And here it comes. Here comes the first system. The Ford first system for the European has been much more, not much more, but a little bit more aggressive with how far the precipitation gets. It actually gets it all the way to Boston, but it still has the storm kind of dwindling apart. That moves through. Then here comes the second storm. See the snow breaking out. And I know it's probably pretty small on y'all's screen, but snow's breaking out in areas in northern North Carolina and southwestern Virginia. Gets through. This is a big snow event for Virginia. Both models are showing a big snow event for Virginia. You get to the next frame, a big snowstorm for Washington, D.C. And it's close, but we're not there as much as we are on the last GFS with the European, the latest European. Man, we got so much time to work out what's going to happen here. But check it out here. It has the low pressure a little bit more north. It has it intensifying. So areas in Delaware, even though there's going to be mixing issues here, but just east of Washington, D.C., southern areas of New Jersey, this thing is intensifying big time and has a chance to really throw some last-second really heavy snow if this was to happen. And then it moves on out here. So we get a closer look of the operational snowfall. And here's the first storm. Decent snow for Washington, D.C. It's close, but it's a decent snow. Now, a lot of things I'm not talking about because I normally don't talk about this area, but here, there's a stripe of some big-time snow from Iowa to Chicago, who have not seen huge storms this year. But anyways, so we get into the next storm, and here it is. It's like Washington, D.C. gets double hit. Washington, D.C. ends up with over a foot of snow between both storms. Almost the entire state of Virginia ends up with a big-time storm. Delaware, Maryland, I keep forgetting to mention that state for some reason, but New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Very potential for a big-time winter week for this area for sure. And even areas in the northern fringe of the entire border of Virginia and North Carolina, northern fringe of North Carolina, a chance here. North Carolina is not out of the woods, not by a long shot. But this is the GFS ensembles, GFS. It's showing the signal all the way down into here. Now, if you look closely, the darker gray kind of extends to the BD of South Carolina, and then it gets darker in the coastal. That's picking up on the coastal load, the chance for that heavy snow to get thrown back into the eastern Carolinas, mainly speaking on eastern North Carolina. But obviously, there's a huge signal here for the Washington, D.C. area, most of Virginia, northern Virginia. This is a pretty significant signal for you guys. Like I said, I really think Washington, D.C. breaks their snow streak this coming week. It's going to be exciting for them guys. But here's the first storm showing up from the European ensembles. Pretty solid signal. And here comes the next storm. See how it dips more south? I guess you can say the European ensembles are a little bit more north. But there's still a signal all the way down into South Carolina, really. But that signal's pretty weak, very weak. But definitely areas right in here in North Carolina and the entire state of Virginia. This might be a widespread event for Virginia. I'm starting to get a little bit more confidence on this, but we're still a week out. Things are going to change, guys, a lot. So stay with me, and thank y'all for tuning in. And we're going to try to reel this one in for people who don't see snow a lot. Thank y'all for watching, and y'all have an awesome night.